Hello everyone, this is Monstertaming coming at you with an Abomi Nation Beginner's Guide. Today we're going to be going through the ins and outs of Abomi Nation and how you can succeed in your first early runs. Your early game experiences will likely not be very difficult, as you can see here, but as you progress you'll need to pay more attention to how you use your abilities and when you use them. But for now, let's talk about how to deal with your first town. Towns will have healing at the campfire, where you can also swap out your bombies. They often have special NPCs. This NPC here will let you swap around some of your stats. For example, you can decide to swap your speed for HP. Now, since I'm already pretty low speed, I don't really think that's a good idea for me, but those are worth noting because sometimes you will want to swap speed for HP. One thing to do in towns that I highly recommend you do is you go in and you spend all your money on apples, mana bananas, and make sure you have at least a few carrying pairs in your inventory at any time. Next, you can look at what items they have available, see if anything applies to you, and buy orbs whenever you have the spare cash for it. Always make sure you are getting as much as you can for healing items because they'll be tremendously helpful during boss fights. And they can even keep you alive in fights you would otherwise 100% lose. Now, a little later on, we can see an Abomi here, who is a little bit tougher for us. We'll go and follow the same philosophy. If we want to spend money to buy some more apples. And now, this Abomi would normally be an extremely difficult fight for us, but since we have an extra friend, it'll be a little bit easier. This mini boss would normally be too strong for our starting Abomi because they essentially hard counter them. Since we have a friend, they can help us. You can also buy a shield that can potentially help from the store as well in the same zone. But now with combat, you see you have a lot more options. And I do recommend just checking through your damaging options to make sure, because even though we do air damage, poke has also a fairly decent amount of damage as well, because you can see our air does special and poke does physical, and their special defense is higher than physical. It's not enough to stop us from using breeze, but it is worth considering. And now, as we have our friend sit in the background, we can fairly easily trade and not have to worry about any specific attacks like those plant attacks there that would do extra damage to us. And now we've learned a new move. You can come there anytime to swap out. I generally like to replace my moves such as Provoke or any stat changing moves as soon as possible, but you may find your experience different. That's more of a preferential thing, but I find it's better to have attacking moves to give you more variety. As I said before, sometimes you'll be able to find games, and here's a perfect example of that. We have a special game where this is a quiz, which will help us get more special attacks. There's a variety of them in here who target the various different attributes. You'll lose some if you fail, but they're not that hard. The quiz might be the hardest for a new player, as you don't know what this is, for example. See, and you have to be a little bit quick on the draw here. And that's probably the worst part about it for a new player, is you need to be quick on the draw, but you also, if you're too quick, you won't be able to actually you won't be able to read the entire question. So now, since we got that, we have that speed orb we had earlier, which we'll go ahead and apply here, which will increase our speed. And then our special attack, I'm also going to apply to our BOE because they are good with special attacks. They're special attacker. Now we also have a couple of items. We have a Gators too, so we don't have any bite damage, sadly. We have the Bird Bow. We'll explain the Arrow Orb and Lightning Orb in a minute, but for now, we'll give our bird bow to our crab boy. And we're going to give the underdog orb for our Biwi, as well as the air orb. The air orb raises your base attack power, as well as gives you extra attack. I find it to be most useful to give it to someone of the same type, because whoever's weak to air, we know that they're going to be doing good against them now, and we can use their basic attack to save MP if we're in the middle of something like a boss fight. And then again, at the shop here, something else to show you is you can buy tablets. These tablets can give certain Abomi new moves that aren't normally in their moveset, or that maybe they don't get later. You can see right in the middle there, our Biwi could learn this, and it is a air type. That's a neutral type move that does power 5, mana 2, accuracy 100%. So it's an okay move. If you want more variety in what you can attack with, then this might be a good option for you to take. Something else I wanted to touch on was relationships. You can go here to your party screen, and you see the little bar. They're 18% of the way towards being pals. You need 25% for that, 50 for best friends, and 100 for partners. Each of these tiers give you special abilities. Be sure to check back and see if your party member's relationship is leveled up to the point where you can give them a new pal, best friend, or partner, so that they can get even more stat boost, which can help you in the later game. It's a lot more helpful than you might think. In some towns, you might notice an NPC like this who will just give you a free item. They'll have that little symbol above their head like that. Now, you're not going to be able to win every matchup. Some matchups where the enemies have type advantage on you can be truly brutal. You'll do less damage, and they'll do more damage. Sometimes you don't quite estimate them, or maybe you overestimate them or underestimate them, and you're like, you swap too much or not enough. Maybe you didn't have enough items. Whatever the case may be, there are going to be times throughout your career where you come across Abomis that are just too tough for you to deal with, and you will lose a friend. But all hope's not lost. You can swap in a new friend, and then after you won the match, you can find this tombstone here. Now, to avoid deaths, I recommend making sure to use your healing items in combat, and I recommend swapping out whenever you have a type disadvantage, or even if someone is just low health. So, as you can see here, you can copy your code here. It will automatically copy it to your clipboard. You can go to the Discord, or there's also a thread in the Steam forums, and you can post this so others can see this. And if you do that, then they can summon them as special summoning stones in the future. But death is not the end of Abomi Nation. You can always make a comeback. I think this is a great spot to conclude the guide, is that yes, your Abomis will die. Yes, you will feel like hope is lost, but you can persevere. You can keep going, and you get those sweet, sweet temporal pebbles to spend in the shops for new unlocks. I hope this has been helpful to you. If you have any more questions or comments, please leave them down below. Until next time, this has been Monstertaming Bisloba signing off. Hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye. God bless, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.